I'm Reese.
And I'm Dea.
And we are literally dead.
dead.
We are back with the second installment of our 28-day countdown to 28 years
I'm so
later.
excited. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Still.
Of course we are. Look at us watching the films.
It's like...
For the millionth time.
It's coming out in a few days. Like, we're so ready for this.
Yeah. I hope you are too, back at home. Or wherever you're listening.
Wherever you're listening. On the toilet, on the bus.
Yeah.
At work.
This is at work. Why was work funny but toilet wasn't?
Because people have jobs to this podcast. Sorry.
Employed people love us. But this is a special episode because we have a guest joining us.
Very special guest.
I don't think you got the cue. A very special
guest.
Woo!
Hello!
So who are you and what do you do?
My name is Andrew White. I'm a comedian, writer and producer based in the south of England, represented by HD Management. Here is my side profiles. And my hands.
Are you self-taping?
Yeah. I'm hoping this will shoot me to stardom, please.
It might do.
Oh no, we're using you.
Oh!
You have more followers than us.
He's clout chasing us, you mean?
I am clout chasing.
Yeah, he's trying to break into horror. Apparently. No, our 300 listeners, you know.
Yes.
300?
Yeah.
That's good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So,
we watched 28 Weeks Later.
You're not really a horror guy, are you?
no, I've watched a few of the films with you.
Mm.
I've even threatened to be on the podcast before, but then fell asleep.
Yeah.
So this is my first time actually in front of the camera. I don't mind zombies so much. There's a lot of suspense, sort of cutting blood stuff that I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah.
Although this was very bloody gory, but I didn't mind it too much.
You struggle with slashers.
Yeah, and that trailer for the upcoming Final Destination. Oh,
with the nose ring.
just I've noticed it wasn't even
the
the worst
glass.
part. The glass, just the shard of glass going to someone's foot.
Oh, I
horrible.
hate stuff with feet. I can't.
Oh, I didn't mind the feet.
Oh, God.
Not like that, Christ.
No, but it's like, the scene in Home Alone? Like, I can't watch the nail foot scene in that either.
It's just like knives or nails or anything just going through skin. I don't care what body part it is. I'm like, oh, well, that's a foot. But
You know what gets me? Also foot adjacent? Anything to do with an Achilles heel.
oh yeah, those tendons on the back.
Oh, that gets me. Oh, there's been a few films where that's been sliced, and let me I'm not well afterwards. I'm not well.
Yeah.
You know those things that make your feet cold? You know
Yeah.
while you're watching it?
I've never heard that before. Make your feet cold.
Your feet don't get cold, or they get like tingly, or you just feel really funny about them. I don't know. It was almost like the blood drains from my feet. That's so weird. Never from my face, but from my feet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
When I'm disgusted, my extremities get tingly. Like, when we watched The Fly, my fingers and toes just went like, ugh.
Oh, I remember
Oh.
that. Yeah.
These feel like normal reactions. I get a boner. I'm so sorry.
I'm keeping that in.
I'm absolutely destroying
Dea,
the
keep that in.
gorgeous reputation of your podcast.
I think half of our clips have
Bringing
cum
the
in
tone
them.
down. Yeah, you have a lot of cum-based clips. It's good. You chase the algorithm. Go for it.
We love a cum joke, apparently.
But yes, I'm not historically a horror person. I'm not like a big scaredy cat. It just never was my thing. But I'm getting more and more into it. Reese has influenced me. And Dea, you've both influenced me.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, I've seen lots of good horror that I liked. And I was keen to see... I watched 28 Days Later. Obviously wasn't in the podcast. Wasn't invited. I was sleeping. But I'm awake for this one. And I was very excited to watch the sequel. And I'm now very excited to watch 28 Years Later.
Yeah.
So, speaking of, where we left off in the first film, 28 Days, we had a happy ending with our main characters who had spotted a plane, had been flying over the country, and they got its attention. We presume that they were probably taken to safety, but we know that outside help has come to England.
We don't know what happened to them, because this movie's not about them at all.
No.
We'll do the spoiler-free real quick, just so if you haven't watched it yet, you've got a little inkling of what it's about, and then you can go off and come back. 28 weeks after Britain succumbed to the rage virus, American soldiers try to re-establish community, thinking the danger is gone. There you go.
Mm.
It continues the trend of like Americans coming in like sequels to zombie movies, and then just saying, "Oh, we'll save everything," and then they fuck up.
What else? What else that happened in?
Dead Snow,
Oh, right, nice.
and then there was another one as well. I can't remember.
Americans bad. That's the main message of the film. Also, there's hardly any Americans in it. I think only one American played an American.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Jeremy Renner.
Yeah.
We had like Idris Elba and another guy playing like American soldiers, and we could tell they were British.
And there was an Australian woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, yeah.
And they said it was like a NATO force. They could have easily said, "Oh, it's a UN force," so then it's multiple like nationalities. But no, they made it American.
Yeah, I think there was maybe kind of a point about that with the military, that they needed to be American, with like the attitude and everything.
Yeah.
Definitely, you can see it a lot through the film as well. Yeah,
Also, it's more convenient for them to all speak English.
that is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I suppose NATO forces probably would be trained to speak English. I guess it's just racism.
Also, it might have been more interesting to hear like different accents and stuff.
But we don't see that yet because we first cut to this like group of people. There's a couple making dinner.
Yeah. It is a warm lighting. You can see there's no overhead, there's no electricity. It's just candles and lots of them.
Yeah.
That's your dream.
Yeah.
It
That's
really
what you
is.
want for this house.
No.
It's a gay household.
No big light.
No big light, just candles.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love candles.
They're making dinner. This couple, they were like making out and they get interrupted by an old lady.
Yeah. An older couple at that.
Yeah. There's an older couple. There's a kind of grouchy man. There's a girl who's missing her boyfriend and who thinks he's
Yeah.
coming back. And then there's the married couple who are making dinner.
It's an important conversation between the married couple as they're making dinner. Is the mother looks at a family photo of the couple and their 2 kids and says that she's glad that they paid for their school trip to go to Spain.
So they're out of the country.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
safe.
The kids are fine.
Because the outbreak was just in England, which is important for the film.
And then they kiss, which is a bit of foreshadowing. Mm.
I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't even realise that. Whoa.
Yeah. I'm bringing deep cinematic insight to the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, already the vibe of this film is so different than the first film. It's so much warmer, and the situation that we're currently watching is far more homey. They end up having a family dinner with this collective of people that they are subscribed to us. Described.
Subliminal messaging. That's good. That's smart.
And they have full bowls of like pasta
With tomato sauce.
with tomato sauce. They have like other foods. They're all sat around the table. It's very warm. It's very homey. Everything seems much nicer than I feel like we left off in the last film.
But then, boom, there's a kid at the door, and it's all ruined because there's a child there.
It also establishes that these people have been here for quite a while, which is important, obviously, because this film needs to distinguish itself that this is 28 weeks. These people have clearly become accustomed to this style of life. But yes, there's a boy at the door that knocks. The mother, obviously, missing her children, which she showed concern for.
She lets him in.
Lets the little boy in.
Oh, he eats with his hands! It really pissed me off. Because they feed him pasta, and there's a knife and fork right there, and he's like there, scooping it up with his hands, and it looked disgusting because he didn't look washed.
There's not a cutlery apocalypse, people. It's just zombies. You can still use a knife and fork.
See, I
Thank
don't
you.
subscribe to this like judgment of people who are
Subscribe.
literally, oh my god, I've said it again, who are literally, but I meant it this time. This judgment of people who are surviving a zombie apocalypse, like I just think you people are talking from a place of privilege.
I don't think so, because if you think about it this way, you get infected from blood and saliva. You don't know where his hands have been. He didn't wash his hands.
Also, they had knives and forks. They were eating with knives and forks anyway.
He's also a child,
So?
so who knows how he's been living or being raised.
Well, we know he's being raised by zombies. His
He was like
parents
8
were chasing him
here,
out,
and
of
he was probably
town.
like 7 when it started.
Well, yeah, but his parents have been infected, and they were chasing him, and that's why he's
Yeah.
run all this way.
And the girl who's missing her boyfriend looks out the window and she sees him, and they all burst in through the kitchen windows. The group gets kind of split up. The girlfriend gets eaten. The old people get eaten. The grumpy guy, he manages to run out of like the attic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he escapes into a field.
Yeah.
We'll get back to him.
He practically kicks the old lady back into
Oh
the
my
zombies.
god, he does. It's like, have you
No,
seen?
he doesn't. He's holding the old lady, trying to pull her up, while like 4 zombies are pulling the old lady the other way. Is he supposed to have super strength?
Yeah.
He tries his best, but she slips from his grasp.
It's not good enough.
You ever see? Did you guys ever watch High School of the Dead?
Yes.
It's an anime. It's like got loads of boobs and zombies in it, basically.
I've shown him clips.
But there's a scene of it where two girls are like running and they're holding like pinkies, like we're best friends, we're gonna stick together, we're gonna stick together. And then one of them gets grabbed by a zombie, is being pulled down the stairs, and the other one kicks her down. She's like, please help me. And the girl goes, let go, bitch, let go.
Damn it, bitch! I said let go.
I have seen that clip. Yeah, very giving that vibes. I
Yeah.
think.
It was not giving me vibe!
You know what? Whatever. He runs into a field. Cut back to the mother who is with the little boy up in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
The father was fighting on zombies downstairs, but they've overpowered him, so he's run upstairs into the same bedroom. He's trying to take his wife out. The wife is looking for the little boy because he's hidden.
In the
He's
cupboard.
hiding in the closet. She runs to the closet. The husband stays at the door to the ensuite, I think it was.
Mm.
But then the zombies burst through the bedroom door, which is between him and his wife and this boy.
Yeah.
His wife sits there and says, like, help us. It's
Do
John was
something.
his
Do
name,
something.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
John, help us. John.
It's Dawn.
Dawn, is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was John this whole time. Anyway,
It's Dawn.
Dawn, help us, right? But the point is, there's like 5+ zombies between them. He has no weapon in his hands. There's also a door behind his wife, so she can escape the same way as him.
No, but that's into a closet. Her door.
Her door had a window. Wherever hers led to had a window, because we see her in a moment and we'll get
Yeah,
to
'cause
that.
she, like, banged
No, but
the
they're in the
window.
bedroom. She's in front of the cupboard. He's going into the ensuite. So there's no
So-
door out for her, but there is a window there. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have a door out either. He had the window out.
Yeah. True.
Look, you guys want to villainize these people.
Well, no, I'm just trying to get the schematics
I'll
of this
stand
house
up for these
correct.
people. I'm standing up for these people.
I just don't think that he should be heroified because
The husband had literally no choice. Mind you, their kids are gone. They don't know if they're ever coming back. He's thinking, do I sit here and die with my wife, or do I try and leave and someday maybe my kids will still have a parent alive? So he leaves hoping that she'll leave out her door. He goes into the ensuite, locks it.
I'm sure she doesn't have a door.
She goes in there and locks herself.
I think she goes into another room, like a smaller room.
Yeah.
I swear. And then because she's banging on the windows because if she was attacked
Yes,
right then.
exactly.
Yeah.
So he goes into the ensuite. He climbs out the window, falls, he hurts himself. He runs away from the house. That's when he turns back, and we've seen that the wife had gone into a door and locked herself in with the boy.
Why didn't she just open the window too, though? Is what I don't
I know.
get.
No, that window wasn't openable.
Oh, there you go. Well,
It
she
was
could have
smashed it.
smashed it. You know, she
True.
cared about life. She also was able to lock that door. She had a few seconds. Anyway, she's banging on the window, calling him.
She could've
Like
thrown
she
the boy
wants
through
him
it.
to fly up to this window and somehow rescue her
Just come back up the
with his
stairs.
magical
come on.
powers. Like I don't know what. Like,
We'll just
like
let's
Don,
die
where you going?
together,
Where you
maybe.
going? Don, where you going? Like
I'd
Wait,
die with you in the
you
apocalypse.
can't even get out of that window. How's he going to magically
He'd
come
leave
into
you.
the window?
He would leave me.
It was ridiculous.
But I'd stay
Anyway,
with him.
he
Aw.
escapes. He runs into the nearby field. Right, he's being
Oh,
chased
this
by
bit's so intense.
100 zombies. This is quite I think a popular scene because I see this clip all the time on like TikTok
We
and stuff.
studied it as well.
We also studied it, but he's running through the field with like 100 different zombies following him. It's so tense. But he's able to make it to a nearby like lake where there's a boat and the grumpy guy.
He's like untying the boat this entire time.
Yeah,
And he's like trying to get it started, and
yeah.
the zombies are all around them. The grumpy guy, he gets like thrown, like pulled
Into
out
the
of
water.
Yeah, thank you. I can't speak.
He gets pulled. The grumpy guy gets pulled into the water. The dad ends up getting in the boat. Tries to pull the grumpy guy in, but he gets pulled down by like a ton of zombies into the
Yeah.
water. The dad turns on, the little jet on the
He
boat.
fucking like motorized engine these fucking zombies, and like there's blood everywhere.
Yeah. There's also a zombie hanging onto the boat, so the boat goes round in circles.
Oh,
like,
the zombie hanging on is the grumpy guy.
Oh,
He's
there
been
you go.
infected and he's come back
that's
onto
so
the
sad.
onto the boat.
I
Yeah.
didn't even notice because you look white now.
That's what the apocalypse will do to you.
Yeah, that's
That's
what the
the
virus.
worst
Turn you
symptom.
white.
The virus turns you white. The boat spins around. It's quite funny. But then he sails off into the sun.
It's the sunset.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Cut to 28 weeks later.
Yes.
Dun, 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 dun,
Americans
dun,
have established a quarantine zone in the Isle of Dogs, which is an island in London. If you did not know that,
Mhm. Near City Airport.
there you go. They've basically quarantined this island, and like now that they think all of the infected have died of starvation, they're
Yeah.
just kind of clearing out the surrounded area, burning loads of trash, burning loads of bodies, and they're starting to bring people in. They've got about 15,000
Because
people.
they've got what they call District 1.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, which is the safe zone that they've made.
Yeah.
Which I think is still too soon.
Personally, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only been like 6 months, is 20 weeks.
I mean, the country's not going to be
Yeah.
safe until they know that they can quarantine the entire thing.
yeah.
So with the cost that it's going to take to bring people in just to house them, people who aren't even going to be able to really contribute much, just to house them and pay for them to have housing and food and all of this,
There was no
equipment.
farms there or anything.
No, they just had storage rooms full of like food and drinks.
And it was all canned as well, which I thought was really like inefficient as well. Like we were discussing this, and instead of putting it on the Isle of Dogs, which is in the middle of a city where loads of like people could go and get infected, they should have done it on the Isle of Wight or like Guernsey or some shit.
Yeah.
Because like they have some infrastructure there, so they wouldn't have to build any houses, and they have like usable farmland, and it's not close to a city or anything like that.
Yeah, and there wouldn't be any, infected who would be able to make it over without them knowing.
We've thought more about this than they have.
It took 2 seconds. You know what? American military, man.
I don't know. It's also notable to say that this movie was not directed by Danny Boyle. This was directed by... Oh, you can say his name. I don't know how to pronounce it.
It was Spanish. Okay, it was Juan Carlos Fresnadillo.
There you go.
Sure. There you go.
I didn't hear of anything else he's made, but he did make Damsel from... You know, the one with Millie Bobby Brown? On Netflix?
Oh, yeah.
That one was
She's
kinda
like
bad.
a princess that saves herself.
Yeah.
You think this was kind of bad?
It was kind of...
What, 28 Weeks Later?
No.
Oh, Damsel.
Damsel.
Oh, sorry. I thought because you said that one was also kind of bad. I was like, okay.
Well, we'll establish my thoughts on 28 Weeks Later once it, like...
We'll get there.
Yeah.
The point is, what we see now is people being checked into the country.
Yeah.
We introduced our character the doctor, the military doctor.
I don't know what her name is.
Yeah, neither do I.
I just call her the medic in my notes.
I was going to guess Jennifer. That rings, but maybe
kind of rings a bell.
Yeah.
It's a very American name, Jennifer.
Yeah.
But anyway, she's the head of the like medicine tent and all that sort of stuff in the area.
And she's watching people come off of the plane that's just landed, and she sees that there are 2 younger kids, and she's on the phone with someone. She says, "No one told me we were letting in kids now. We have no protocol for this, for minors, etc." Then we see her checking in the young boy. She's checking his eyes. And there's a focus on his eyes.
It's focused on all of the eyes in the movie as well.
Mm.
Like, the boy's eyes he shares with his mum, and it's like, is it heterochromia? The one with 2 colours?
He's got
Blue
one...
and
Brown?
hazel.
Hazel. He's got hazel eye, and he has...
It's a green eye, isn't it?
Yeah, green eye.
Green, yeah. Sorry.
Which is relevant for the fact of connecting him to his mother. But there are other shots that are just obsessive about eyes.
Even the daughter, she does that, that blue-eyed stare that's like in loads of stuff.
That's the scariest thing in this film.
Yeah.
Although there is a moment that her staring at her dad later on mirrors the mum staring at the dad when he leaves her. When the dad abandons the mum in the house.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. These are the children of
Don and that woman.
Of the opening scene couple, who are on this exchange trip. When the mum is staring at her husband, being like, "I can't believe you left me, betrayed me," the daughter has a very similar stare later in the movie. But they did overdo it a bit, the eye stuff.
Yeah.
But the point is, he has the same genes as his mother, which is a crucial detail.
So I will say it was really weird for me watching this whole sequence, seeing such an American UK, because just seeing the country, I don't know. One thing I appreciate about certain films is they just show us possibilities that we've just never be able to fathom otherwise.
Yeah.
And just seeing a London that's just, or in England, should I say, that's been taken over by Americans, and just thinking about the politics that must have incurred,
Yeah. Well, I will say it's weird because this movie, so the first one shows you different parts of London, and you can kind of recognize it, right? You see the streets, and they mention Deptford, and you're like, okay, yeah, this isn't just showing you the London Eye and that's it, right?
Yeah.
But this movie, you can kind of see that they don't know London as well, because they'll show you the big landmarks, and that's it.
I don't think the geography fully makes sense as well, because they're heading north at one point, and they head through Regent's Park, and then they double back through to Westminster and Big Ben and stuff, and they're trying to get to Wembley. This is later on in the movie. We'll get to it, but yeah, the geography's all over the place. They're going up and down and all around through London. Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense.
But they go and so they're in Isle of Dogs now. They're being introduced to this place. They've got hot water, they've got electricity, they even have a pub.
Oh.
And then they meet their dad, and they're very
At a
happy to
train
see him
station.
again.
Yeah, he's over them to see them, and their dad is obviously the man and the father from the couple from the beginning.
And
that
he's
wasn't clear.
bragging about his job. He's like, I basically run the place.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I have access to all areas.
Shows his card to swipe in anywhere.
And his daughter's like, so you're just a caretaker. So he locks them. He locks them in the revolving door to prove a point, and then unlocks it with his key card. And he says, "As I said,
I run the place."
I run the place."
This is also an important detail. Access all areas.
There you go.
Oh,
Mm.
didn't know that, but yeah, I did.
So they get to see their swanky penthouse apartment.
Penthouse.
They're enjoying the view, and they've got this kiddish excitement. Although then the teenage daughter, I guess she's like 16 or something, is like, "What happened to mom?"
Yeah, I mean they've been living in a refugee camp.
In Spain.
Yeah, since everything broke out, so it's been months.
Yeah. So it's a much better life than they were living, but they're still like, what's happening with mom? And
And he says that they're going to move to a new house soon, but they can't go back to their old house. And he sits down and tells them what happened.
Yeah, but he doesn't mention the fact that he doesn't mention the fact that he didn't see her die. He doesn't mention the fact that he kind of ran away from her.
he acts like he tried to do more than he did.
Yeah.
And obviously the kids are upset and sad, but whatever. It's not whatever, but
Yeah.
what can you do? It's a
Whatever.
zombie apocalypse. They understand broadly.
Yeah.
Yeah, broadly. I will say he did everything he could do.
Yeah.
But
But I think without being able to explain the nuance of the situation, the easiest thing to do for his kids would just be to tell them that he couldn't do anything and that she was bitten. Now, mind you, what he did witness was her being snatched away from the window by a zombie.
Yeah.
So, or an infected. So I don't know, he saw her get attacked, even though he didn't see her die. But once you see someone get snatched by a zombie right in front of your eyes, you expect them to be gone.
You're they're gone in 30 seconds.
But the kids have a premonition, a dream. They see their mother's face when they're asleep in the night.
I will say that it does cut back to the medic and the other soldiers at points in the movie. There's lots of banter. There's snipers on all the roofs, which is important for later. And it also shows that the medical officer is basically being dismissed. Every time she suggests anything, different ways to do things or protocol for the kids and stuff like that, Idris Elba's just no.
Yeah. She's also the only woman.
Yeah, she is. And then it also establishes a friendship between one of the snipers and a helicopter pilot. He scares the shit out of this helicopter pilot who's sleeping in.
So that's all happening in District 1. All military lockdown, very scary. But the kids decide they need to break out of the lockdown because this dream has made them realise that they'll never see their mum again.
And they want a picture.
They want a picture because they're worried they're going to forget.
So they head out of the District 1 and they are caught by the sniper.
He sees them leaving it.
Mm.
Who reports it in and says that there's, some pups that have left the city. But the kids make it to a pizza place.
Oh my god, yeah.
And they see all the delivery scooters outside, but they don't have any keys. So the daughter heads inside and finds a dead body.
A dead body covered in roaches.
At this point, it's just a skeleton, though. But still, this is the first they've seen anything like this. Because they weren't here for this entire thing. So this was the daughter's first introduction to it, so it scared her. It was also really gross. Ugh.
It was.
The cockroaches. But she grabs the key so they can take the scooter.
And they get to the house and stuff, and they get the picture, and they're like, great, now go home. Now go home. But no, the boy is on the trampoline jumping around. The girl is in her room grabbing her clothes. And then the boy goes upstairs looking for his sister. And he sees it looks like someone's squatting in their house, basically.
Yeah.
And there they find the mum.
The son finds his mum there. And I will say this scene very distinct. Because the room that he goes into looks like someone squatting inside. It's disgusting.
There's maggots in tins.
The window
and shit.
has been covered. The walls have been scratched and scraped into. There are drawings. It seems like crosses or maybe even tallies counting days. It's very unusual.
I think it's crosses tallying the days.
And there's food on the table that's rotted and maggots in cups. And he hears someone shuffling behind the bed. And this shot is so scary to me because the mother's face, and we don't know it's the mother at this point, is slightly peeking out from behind the bed for quite a while in a way that's just terrifying. And the son is looking at this uncanny valley face, thinking it's his sister. And he says, this isn't funny, this isn't a joke. But her grey, uncanny valley, unrecognizable face is there behind the bed with her wild hair. And that shot was terrifying. I'm not gonna lie. I think that's the scariest shot in the film for me. Maybe the only scary shot. But
yeah.
But he finds out it's his mother, and she holds him tight, too tight.
She's a little crazy because he's trying to get out of her grip, and she just won't let go. So he starts screaming, and the sister drags him out of there, and then the soldiers come and pick him up, along with their mother actually, who gets quarantined. Then the mum is in quarantine, and so are the kids, but kept separate from her. And essentially, they're just trying to test and see if she has any diseases and stuff like that. And the medic discovers that the mum has like special blood.
Yes, she has a bite mark, so we know she's been infected. And they take blood and confirm it is infected.
And she is.
But she has no symptoms.
But she's a carrier, so she can infect other people.
Yeah. She's
with
not
her-
immune, she's just asymptomatic.
Yeah, with her blood and saliva, she can infect you.
Yeah.
So then it's like, oh, is this the key to a cure, to a vaccine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She got the special genes.
But she tells her boss, and her boss disagrees. He thinks that they should just kill her.
Meanwhile, Dad has found out that his kids have left and have been quarantined, so he comes down to see them. And then they're also like, oh, we've got your wife too.
And he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like,
Then he
I'll let that
sees
bitch die, what?
He sees his kids, and they give him so much shit. And they're like, you told us like she was dead. She's not dead. And he's like, well, I never said I saw her die, which is valid. He didn't, but like, also he's shocked. But also, she was bitten.
Yeah.
Like, how is he supposed to know that she was immune? And also, even if he had stayed to help her, she'd probably survive and he'd be dead.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, true.
That's the ridiculousness of it.
Or what might have happened is what does happen. Him and his access all areas keys decides to go nosing around, finds his
He
wife.
tries to access her area.
No, he goes to apologize because he feels super guilty for no reason.
Yeah.
Um,
And they kiss.
he kisses her, and
Big,
I will
wet,
say,
sloppy kiss.
He
They-
infects himself.
with her saliva, and they're very intentional about this because they make the kiss intentionally very wet.
It's like strings, like
Yeah.
a cheesy pizza.
They close, they close up
Pulling away.
on the saliva that they're exchanging, which, valid and like necessary. Disgusting. But we see him start to change, and this is one of the slowest change we've seen. Even in this film, it's the slowest change, and it's much slower than any change in the first film.
Yeah,
But
and
he-
it's slower than any changes since. Like, this is the only
Yeah.
inconsistent one, which is like unusual
Yeah.
for zombie movies.
To be fair, though, it's also the first one we've seen that's been a saliva infection.
By someone who's a carrier, not by someone who's fully infected.
Yeah, so it makes sense that it would be distinct and different, but it takes him a while before he's taken over. He's, slamming against the walls, but as soon as he is turned, he murders his wife, who is
Very
strapped
brutally.
to a chair.
Yeah, it's very brutal. And then he gets out and murders loads of soldiers as well.
Because you have to remember too, this is like, it's obviously a rage virus, so it's angry zombies. It's kind of the vibe, and I feel like this film kind of reminded me more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he goes and he spreads the infection effectively, getting loads of soldiers infected, and then, which is something that is brought up earlier in the film but we hadn't mentioned, is that if the infection breaches containment, they will code red. They will just fucking kill everyone.
Yeah. So they go into, first of all, containment. They herd everyone into the room. The boy, the medic comes and saves the children.
Yeah.
Because she's like, fuck, the wife is dead, but like, I need to save this little boy. He's got the same genes. So she takes the children. She's trying to like explain to the soldiers, like, no, I need to save these children. I need to look after them.
They may hold,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
key.
And then obviously the soldiers don't care.
The little boy gets separated from them.
So he's in the containment zone with all these like thousands of people in this basement.
Have just been locked in.
And this is such a shit plan as well. Like,
Yeah. Even the civilians say, like, you can keep us in here, but you just have to guard the door. You don't have to lock us in.
Yeah. And then there's all these people, instead of locking them in their high-rise flats with only one exit at the very bottom, where only the infectious people can go downstairs, right? No, they lump all the people together in one big open space, lock it up, and then the dad breaks in and infects
Yeah.
everybody.
Also, it's because the high-rise horror would have been really good. You never obviously they had Attack the Block a few years ago.
You have hashtag alive.
Oh, I've not seen that one.
It's Korean.
You have
This
got
is a zombie.
Wreck as well.
Wreck. Oh, another zombie one that's also great.
But it's all these rich like country houses that are getting haunted.
Yeah.
I want to see some more high-rise horror.
Yeah, I'd love to see more high-rise, like ghost horror.
absolutely.
But at the moment they're in the basement and it's tearing
Not
through.
a haunted, like, elevator. 'Cause whenever...
Haunted elevator.
Yeah, whenever I see, like,
Like
ghosts-
David S. Pumpkins.
There is a Japanese one I want to watch about a woman whose apartment is haunted. No, it's a woman who it's called The Eye, where she gets an eye transplant and she learns to see ghosts, and that's the one where a very famous scene in an elevator in the high rise.
Yeah, I've seen that.
But what? There are films where the elevator is haunted.
No, just a lot of films with ghostly, like, things where an elevator is haunted at some point.
That-
I mean, like, this is a great example, but you also have things like Candyman has, like, a elevator scene. There's, like, just so many where there's just, like,
There's a
ghostly
zombie
elevator
movie
scene.
about a guy who gets locked in an elevator and he's in the elevator for the majority of the movie.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They
Cheap.
have
Cheap
an
to
elevator
produce.
scene in, what's the one with, where all the people are trapped in an elevator and one of them's the devil?
Devil. It's called Devil.
There you go. There's even an elevator scene in Tarot.
Oh my god.
Oh yes, yeah.
There's an elevator scene in a lot of like ghostly, haunty-ish.
Yeah.
I suppose it's sort of like across. A lot of people have fears of elevators.
It's true.
Usually isolated as well, which is nice.
But I want more stairways.
Oh yeah.
Give me haunted
There was some
stairways.
there was some stairways in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were. There was more in the first film, which I loved.
True. Anyway, the containment is just breached. This infection is running through the population.
Yeah.
The people are terrified. They break down the doors. So
Yeah.
now they're running out of the basement.
Into the streets.
and
Yeah. And the snipers are trying to shoot the infected, but they can't tell
They
who is
can't.
what. Because everyone's running frantically.
Mhm.
Some are a bit more obvious than others, but it gets to the point where snipers keep saying over the comms,
we can't tell who we're
we
shooting.
can't tell.
And then Idris Elba goes, just shoot everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the sniper, our guy who has a friend, you know, the one, Jeremy Renner,
Yeah.
he sees the little boy and he says, I can't kill a little kid. So he comes down from his post and tries to, like, find the kid and help him. And Andy, the boy, he gets into a, like, storage area.
Yeah. And
Well-
sees that there's other people there hiding.
Yeah, a group of other people, including the medic and his sister.
Yeah, which is great. They've been reunionized.
Yeah.
Reunited. Yes.
I kind of like that they didn't spend the half the movie trying to, like, reunite. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I agree.
But then they gotta have a plan because Jeremy Renner, obviously, he's the man on the inside. He's like, this is code red. They're gonna kill everyone.
Yeah.
But people don't want to leave because they're saying, you know, if we don't get infected, we'll get shot by a sniper.
Yeah.
But he, you know, assures them that the night is the best time to get away from the snipers because even though they've got night vision scopes, this is the weakest that their aim's going to be.
Which is interesting because in the first movie, the infected were more aggressive at night than they were
Yeah.
in the daytime.
Well, see, the issue here is the snipers more so than even
The infected.
the infected.
Hmm.
And that's kind of like, you know, the big difference about this film is they're not just escaping the infected. In fact, the infected are less of a villain than what it feels like the American military are.
Yeah. Apart from one, because the dad seems semi-intelligent. Like, there are points
Yeah.
in this where, like, the kid, like, runs zigzags to kind of be used as bait to get this other sniper away. And the dad is literally, like, as a zombie, just, like, staring.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got maybe got a bit more consciousness
Yeah.
or forward thinking. Anyway, they all get away. I think one civilian gets shot. One of their party dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But broadly, they get away from the Isle of Dogs, which is good because then,
They fucking carpet bomb it.
yeah.
yeah,
All over London, the American military blow up everything. And meanwhile, our group, which now consists of obviously the sniper,
The medic.
the medic, the little boy, his
The-
sister.
And some civilians.
guy in
they
a
brought
blue
with them.
shirt. Well, it's just one guy
Yeah,
in a blue
just
shirt.
one
isn't it?
civilian now.
I thought it was a few others.
No, because
They're
one of them
gone by
died
now.
and they
Oh,
got
okay.
sniped.
But they're hidden in the tunnel, and you see the explosion coming for them. It's quite a fun scene because they're walking down this sterile, dark tunnel, and there's just a bright light that's growing behind them, which is obviously the flames coming towards them, and they're skipping and running. But the entire, you know,
Skipping.
skipping. The entirety of London is just in flames at this point.
What
Yeah.
is on the Isle of Dogs?
The other dogs.
Yeah.
Not all of London.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
No.
some of the other bits too.
It's quite a broad like explosion area,
Yeah.
but it's not even that effective because some infected.
They just
get
break
as
out
well.
the gate. They don't climb or
Yeah.
nothing. They're just gone.
And also, speaking of intelligence, during these explosions, we see the father, who is obviously infected at this point, who's hidden behind a wall to escape the flames.
Yeah.
And it's just very intelligent the way he's done it, as if he was waiting for the explosion rather than just reacting to fear.
Yeah. And then the pilot kind of calls to Jeremy Renner and he's like, hey, look, I can come pick you up in Regent's Park if you can get there. And he says, yeah, okay, cool. So the group is trying to make their way there. But he doesn't mention that he's got loads of people with him.
They don't. Do they get to? They get to Regent's Park without instant, pretty much. There's a few like bits and bobs, but like nothing that notable. They get to this like play area.
There's like a circus.
They're all hanging out, waiting for the helicopter, basically.
Vibing, chilling.
But as the helicopter arrives, so do the zombies.
So did
Yeah,
I think
infected,
they followed
sorry.
the sound.
Of the helicopter.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Um,
And I will say, in this scene where they're in this field, the boy literally, there's this focus shot on the boy's hands, and he literally has blood on his hands.
yeah.
And I personally felt like this was correct.
Apt.
It was apt. There we go. Thank you. Because I do blame him and his sister. I think
Because
that
he's got blood in his hands.
Yeah.
yeah.
If they'd never left the confinement area.
Yeah.
they've caused all of this by bringing their mother back.
Literally.
None of this would have happened otherwise. If they'd never even come in, it wouldn't. Although a part of me does think that eventually they would have discovered their mother, whether it was the military or someone else.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have known that she was infected, and they would have taken her in anyway. And
Yeah,
this
but they would have
mistake-
quarantined her and tested her blood.
That's true. The issue mainly here is like the fact that the father was told, and who really told him, he wouldn't have known if it wasn't for the kids.
I will say, I think I do blame the kids for going out and doing something fucking stupid. And a lot of my frustration in this film is with those characters specifically. But also, I just feel like, even for, like, Americans, right? Everything was really poorly thought through, right? How the fuck is a teenager and a little boy getting out of a military blockade?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how the fuck did they sneak past and only one sniper notices?
Yeah,
right?
but the point is,
and how do they not know? How do they not catch them in time after this sniper radios them,
Yeah.
so that they can get? Literally, they cross the fucking Thames to get to their house.
They took so long. He's literally told them that children have left.
Yeah.
They got to get out to
Yeah.
a nice
Now,
area.
even if they do believe that most of them have, died or whatever, they know that there's still infectious blood everywhere.
Yeah.
That could infect these kids, and they take forever.
And I will say,
How is she faster on a walking and then scootering to her house
Yeah.
than they were on a damn helicopter?
And I will say another thing that I've just thought of is the fact that Don had all security clearance and he was a caretaker. The fact is that I think that only the top, like, brass, or, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Very top people should have security clearance for everywhere. If he needed to go into the medical wing, then he should be accompanied by a medical officer.
Yeah.
If he needed to go into, like, different buildings, then there should be officers dedicated to different buildings. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think someone with his position should have clearance to go anywhere. And the fact that someone so important as his, as his wife was, with those, infection in her, and was being in quarantine, the fact that she was so unguarded that he could just walk in,
Yeah.
it's like a joke, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then I think that is I know it seems like maybe sort of like a movie plot hole or something, but I think those aren't realistic oversights. Those are the sort of things that
Well,
the military regularly fuck up.
I agree, but it was just weird because there was still a soldier who was watching the kids
Yeah.
who were being quarantined, semi-quarantined.
But nobody watching the
But
mum.
nobody watching the woman who they had to strap to a table,
Yeah.
who they saw had a bite, so they knew she was infected.
Yeah, weird.
And not a single person in that wing.
Anyway, lots of people have blood in their hands, but the boy literally.
And he's sitting in this field, obviously, and the helicopter comes to rescue them. Comes to rescue the sniper.
Yeah, because he thinks, oh, I'm just going to pick up my mate, we're going to go to base, it'll be fine.
Yeah. And the sniper, who knows that these kids probably carry, genetics for the cure, says he needs to take them, and, the helicopter refused. He said, if I try to land with them, we'll get shot down.
Yeah.
And he says, no, I need you to take them,
Bless you.
Thank you.
to France, like, across the channel.
Yeah. And they're having this argument at the time, and the blue shirt guy, he just jumps onto the fucking rung and spooks the helicopter guy, because he's thinking, is this an infected or is this a guy? Like, what the fuck is he doing?
Yeah.
Get off, right?
So much like the boat in the first scene, he's
Yeah.
like spinning around trying to get this guy off.
Oh, and this bit, I actually kind of like this bit because I love a bit of, like, random zombie kills where, like, he takes the helicopter blades and just fucking mows down these zombies. It's fucking
Yeah.
awesome.
It's pretty cool.
It is a very cool scene.
Yeah.
Either way, he's like, get to Wembley,
Yeah.
gets this like safe ground.
And I'll meet you there.
Yeah.
The blue guy's dead, obviously.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm not picking up all these people, is what he says.
Lose them, yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're dealing with the helicopter drives, flies off, and we're dealing with our sniper, our medic, and the
two
boy,
kids.
the boy and the sister.
Yeah.
So they make their way through London again. They start walking.
They go to Regent's Park.
Yep.
And this is where the geography gets weird.
Yeah, then they head back in Central, which is nowhere, not the direction of Wembley.
Yeah.
But they realise that there's a gas coming round. Like, it's all
There's like a chemical gas that's been let off by the military.
Yeah. So all the streets are sort of like slowly getting taken over by this
And
gas.
the sniper seems to know that it's poisonous, obviously.
Yeah, well, he's the military insider. So they all get into this car,
They close
They
up
cover
the
all the
vents.
vents,
and then there's zombies like pounding on their car, and this gas is coming.
and the zombie starts like making the gas makes the zombie sort of like dissolve and
Yeah.
scream and die.
So this is like, oh no, this is definitely bad gas.
Yeah.
But the car won't start, and the flamethrowers, military men with flamethrowers, are coming through and eviscerating what's left of the zombie bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're like, fuck, we've got to get out. They're
Yeah.
going to kill us.
The sniper, he gets behind the car and basically pushes them so that the car will, start and have a little bit of momentum and stuff. And he gets set on fucking fire.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It is a good fire stunt. I like it.
But they escape in the car, watching him burn behind them.
But I'm going to say he was like one of the only like likable characters in my opinion.
Yeah. Maybe
And the medic.
one.
Maybe the medic.
She
But
was a bit of a pushover.
I think the medic I liked up until this point, but the scene that comes after this, I just didn't like her at all.
Yeah. So now they're in a car driving through London.
But obviously, it's like police interceptors because their helicopter can see them and it's like shooting at them. Everyone's chasing this car, so they drive into a tube station.
Yeah.
And they're in the dark now. And instead of going in the front with her like night vision scope,
Oh, they get out of the car, by the way.
Yeah.
They're not. They're walking through the tube.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
darkness.
But they drove down, is it true?
Yeah.
Tube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so the medic gets out. She uses her like night vision scope on the gun to like take these kids downstairs.
Yeah,
But
she's
instead
guiding
of,
them.
Instead of walking front and then just like hold the back of my shirt, right?
Yeah.
Instead of doing that, no, she says, "Go, kids, you go in front, and I will guide you." And this entire time, the way she does things is so like infuriating because she's like, "Stop, stop, stop, stop! Okay, now move, go, 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 go! No, stop, stop, stop!" And it's like, you're spooking these fucking kids. I'm spooked the way you fucking talk. I'm
It was like
stressed.
some like shitty party game. It was ridiculous. Like, again, like you said, she should have just walked in front of them, hold my shirt, follow me. Also, just the kids can't see the dead bodies that they're stepping on. Just let the kids trample on dead bodies.
Yeah.
Just let the kids.
Just say the ground is uneven. Hold on tightly to the railing, and go.
Yeah, but anyway, she spooks the kids, and they end up falling and tumbling down their dead bodies.
The fucking escalators.
So there's panic. She's like, "Where are the kids?" Right? She's calling out their
Yeah.
names, and then she finds the daughter, who's like, "We have to go find my brother. We have to find him." And then, as she's looking at her through this night vision lens, she gets attacked by.
The dad zombie.
Yeah,
He's back.
He fucking beats her to death with her
I was.
own
It's
gun.
an interesting shot watching this, like with the night vision used in the dark because you've got limited vision. It was kind of spooky.
It was very Wreck vibes if you've
Yeah,
seen
it
that
was
movie.
interesting, and especially when you see, even when you see the daughter stepping up to the night vision, she looks not even like herself, so it's quite creepy. It's like, is that her? Like everything kind of looked like, is it alive? Is it not? It was effective,
It's very
but
paranormal
it was
activity.
frustrating.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that one actually.
But that sort of like night vision, yeah, sort of greenish.
Especially when you've got all these like bodies around you that you can only see in this small scope, and you can barely make out what kind of body it is. Is it dead? Is it alive?
So yeah, medic gets pummeled. Sister somehow, how does she survive? She just plays dead? Or?
She runs away.
She runs away, but then she does end up coming back because she gets the night vision.
That's
thing.
it. Sorry, yeah, she comes back for the gun.
Yeah.
The dad's meanwhile looking for Andy,
Yeah.
the son.
Yeah.
And he gets on top of him and is like attacking him and like bleeding into his mouth.
And he
It's
does
all-
bite him as well.
Yeah. And then the sister comes, saves him, kills the dad, and Andy runs away.
Because he thinks he's infected.
Yeah.
Well,
So
he is.
He doesn't want to hurt his sister, so he's like
Yeah.
trying to run away, but she chases after him into the tunnel, and he falls to the
And
ground.
he's like, "Am I one of them now?"
And she looks into his eyes, and we see his eye filling with blood.
Like his mum did.
Yeah, but not getting infected. And she says, "No, you're not."
And then they walk to Wembley.
And that's when we realize the son does carry the immune genes,
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
which is obviously important.
Yeah.
But they like you said, they moved to
They
Wembley,
walk to Wembley Stadium.
where the helicopter's waiting for them with a gun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he's like, "Where's Doyle?" And they're like, "He's gone." And so he takes them to Paris.
Yeah, I think he understood that his sniper friend being gone, he obviously presumes he's dead,
Mm.
and the fact that he was willing to die for these kids, he probably thought this must be that important.
Yeah.
And obviously that's his best friend. So
So we see them going over the White Cliffs of Dover towards France.
Yeah.
Cut to.
28 days later, and you see the helicopter that they're in, because it has a distinct like little picture of the helicopter guy's daughter, and you see zombies running near the Eiffel Tower, and you realize these fucking kids infected the French.
yeah, you hear on the radio coming into the helicopter, someone in French asking for help, that we need help, and
Yeah, it's in mainland Europe, and now the world is fucked.
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
kids took 2 days to ruin
England
months worth
again.
of operation, and then they also found the time to go to France and ruin Paris as well.
Never work with children or Americans.
Because it'll only make the situation worse.
I will say there are a few things about this movie that I'm like, okay, I like certain things about it, right? But for the most part, I was like frustrated at how little anyone thought about anything.
Yeah. It seemed really unintelligent. Like, it almost like made me realize why they hadn't thought about anything.
Yeah.
Because they were so ready to pull the trigger on just blowing up everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that made them lazy. They were like, we don't need to come up with advanced protocols to what to do if there's infected, etc. Because we've already decided that if anything happens, we're going to bomb everyone. In fact, all of the people
Bomb them.
who were in the military always were kept on mostly high ground. And even when everything first went down, they were taking only military into the evacuation
Yeah.
vehicles. So they always knew from the start, anything goes wrong, we're evacuating our people and blowing everything up.
Mhm.
That's why. And honestly, that is just so sick to me. And also, why even bring the refugees back if that's the attitude you have about rebuilding it? If you know that that's where your mindset stands, just eviscerate everything.
Just nuke it.
And then, well, maybe not nuke it.
But yeah.
We don't want to start another like apocalyptic problem. But then just start over, you know? Make sure the whole thing is done before you bring them in. If things are so bad that the only protocol you have is if everything is bad, we blow it all up. Why are you putting people there?
You need to have multiple plans, and also it's just like an insane waste of money, right? Because
Yeah.
you've got all of these military people here. You've got people who are coming in who will cost money to feed and clothe and house, and you have electricity and water and all this kind of shit.
Yeah.
And you have cans of food because they're not self-sufficient at all. They're not teaching, you know what I mean, Britain how to rebuild themselves. No, they're just sticking them in tower blocks and
Yeah.
putting some fences around it.
Also, it's like, it feels like there was just military aid there.
Yeah, there was
Military
wasn't
can't do
humanitarian.
everything.
Yeah.
Also, I'm wondering who was like, because you need like some form of like mayor, prime minister, etc. It was no one like that. It was just like the military running everything, which you see how that goes in the first film.
Stupid.
Yeah.
And I just think, yeah,
So the theme of this film, like the first film, was military bad.
yeah.
I wonder what the theme of 28 years later will be.
It looks religious.
Yeah.
But there was a theme of the church in the first film.
And even in this
Yeah.
one, there was the guy. She was painting crosses on the wall.
Oh,
Yeah, that's true.
The mum when she was holed up.
I will
Yeah.
say I give this film a 2.5 out of 5.
Really?
I thought it was nowhere near as like interesting or even had anything nearly as impressive as the first film. I didn't like much of the characters. I thought there was very few likable characters. I also thought a big issue was like it felt like nothing really happened in the film. There'd been not much progress since the first film, and then we just watch what was already not much progress just get destroyed, like it was nothing. It seemed to value more action than actually like this interesting world they'd built.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just wasn't for me personally. It just feels like, again, because you have to remember this is a sequel. I just feel like, oh, so we're just back to exactly where we left off in the first film.
Mm.
Like nothing changed. We're just back to film 1.
What about you, Andrew? What did you give it out of 5?
I'd give it a 3 out of 5. I enjoyed it. It definitely was more of an action film than a horror film. But yeah, I thought it was fun. There was some fun like dynamics, and the sort of savior gene, hope for a cure was like a good like narrative device. Yeah, I thought it was broadly all right. But I think 28 years later already looks very. I suppose trailers can be deceiving, but it looks more of a well-rounded world and story. This was just a little bit, yeah, like you say, shooty, blow things up.
Yeah.
Which, you know, was the most American feeling thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
Not that this is an American film, necessarily.
I'm glad it was set in I think that's one of the things I liked about the 28 Days Later was the English setting.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice to see a film that's very, even though it's, 2000 England and maybe not, reflective of what our High Street looks like today. It's fun to see them like dipping in and out of Woolworths, and
Yeah.
it's like oh, this could happen here.
Yeah.
This, although it was set in London, yeah, it wasn't like a sort of deep knowledge of London or English culture. So yeah,
I think the first one was a little.
yeah, I think that's when you say like they've not expanded on that world that they've built. I think a large part of that world is its Britishness, and yeah, that's not reflected in this movie.
That's what I think is so good about especially the geography is so much better in the first film.
Mhm.
It's accurate. I think it's to the most point. I think it's like well done. It feels like someone who actually like knows the country, whereas this one felt less like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some points I didn't even recognize it. I was like, that's London.
Yeah. I think the word I would use to describe this film is disappointing. I gave it a 2.5 as well. That was the thing I gave it when I watched it originally, and I'm going to stick to that. I think everything just feels less like well thought through as the other one did. The cinematography, like the first one had such really great like digital cinematography, and this one didn't. The editing was better in the first one. This one, it uses these like freeze frame, like stop motion, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Low frame rate cuts when things are really scary.
Although let's not forget, in 28 Days Later, when they crash through the gates,
Oh, yeah.
and it freeze frames on them being like,
Yeah, but they only used that once.
True,
In
but
this
it was
movie-
very.
And I liked that shot.
Really?
You guys didn't, but I liked it.
It was bad. Yeah. Go on, sorry.
And I didn't like in the first one you have loads of themes, right? You have the theme of misogyny, you have the theme of reconstruction and hope and living for today and not, you know what I mean, focusing on survival. In this movie, it's kind of very by the numbers zombie cure movie, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel
felt
like-
like it was more about shoot, kill, kill.
Yeah.
Rather than actually saying anything. It said nothing. It said nothing.
I can, you know what I mean, the themes weren't as well thought through in my opinion.
Mhm.
And the first one, and this one is intense, right? But the first one was intense because it was intentional. This one is intense because the characters are making stupid choices.
Yeah. Also, the only like theme, I guess, or like deeper meaning to explore is something about like sacrifice or guilt with the mum and the dad. But then it's sort
Not
of
even handled well at all.
it's not handled well, and it's sort of over within 20
Yeah.
minutes. So yeah, there's not really a deep running like
Yeah.
question behind the film.
And just on like a technical thing, they use shaky cam a lot in this movie and it just doesn't work. It doesn't make things more intense. It just confuses me. I don't know what's happening. Like for the longest time I thought that there was only one zombie in between the mum and the dad in the beginning, and then Reese had to tell me there was like multiple because the
Yeah.
camera was just shaking so much. There's so many scenes where it's so dark that I can't tell what's happening. It technically feels deficient even though it has a higher budget.
Yeah. And I will say,
No
one
wonder
thing-
it
one
took
thing-
so long for like them to make another movie after this one.
I think one thing I liked more about this one than the first film, the only thing I can think of, is maybe the sound, just because in the first film the sound was incredibly inconsistent.
I was very quiet at points, yeah.
Yeah, but it was so confusing because sometimes they would talk much louder, much quieter, and I wanted to respect it and be like, oh, because they have to be quiet because of the infected, but sometimes it was genuinely difficult to understand what people were saying in the first film. And, you know, you turn the volume all the way up and then, you know,
Then something loud happens, you have
there'd
to
be
slow
a
it way
fight
down.
scene and it'd be insane. Whereas in this film, I could actually hear what people were saying most of the time. And then the balance between the action sounds and the usual dialogue felt more balanced. But again, maybe that's because maybe they were talking louder because they didn't have to be quiet anymore. I don't know.
Yeah.
But even in the quiet, whispery, sneaky scenes, it was still far more, what's the word, audible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's because whenever they sneaked, it was either sniper guy giving them commands or the fucking medic screaming at them because don't step on the body.
I think this film is missing a protagonist, really.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
in 28 Days Later, there's some clear people that you want to rally behind, like Selena,
Jim.
and the daughter, and the dad. Actually,
Hannah.
the whole
Oh, Frank.
Yeah.
Love Frank.
the whole group that gets taken along on that journey, you really want to get behind. Whereas this, it's just like, oh, I don't really care about them that much.
The reason horror works isn't just because people are getting like slaughtered. It's because you care about the people who are getting
Yeah.
slaughtered.
You also root for them to survive.
Yeah.
You want them to overcome the obstacles
I would say
and the
that-
monsters.
That's why a lot of like 2000s, especially horror, fails for me personally, because in that era it was like the decade of stupid horror movie protagonist decisions.
Okay, I will say, now they're very camp.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are frustrating.
Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, thank you for listening to this
Thank you.
episode.
Are you excited for 28 weeks later still?
28
Yes.
years later.
Years! Oh my god! I'm getting days and years and months. Oh my god, confused.
Well, we are very excited. And we
I'm
hope
still
that you
excited, yes.
go out and watch it because we'd love to hear your thoughts. If you could comment them. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe and like the video. If you're listening anywhere else, please leave comments. Check out our social media. We're on Instagram, TikTok, as I said, YouTube,
Anywhere you get your pods,
anywhere you get your
rate,
podcast.
rate our podcast, comment,
5 stars only.
5 stars only. You can find our personal Instagrams in the link in the description on YouTube and in our link tree in our Instagram. You can also find some links to social justice, Palestinian liberation, charity, that kind of thing there. And in this video, you'll be able to find Andrew's Instagram, so you can follow him as well, especially on YouTube.
Yeah.
But we'll
At
tag him.
Stand Up Andrew White.
Just that stand up, Andrew.
I want to
Stand Up
know.
Andrew. You can just Google him too, Andrew White. He comes up.
Yeah. I'm not the Bishop of Baghdad. I'm not a 70-year-old folk guitarist. I am the comedian.
There you go.
Just if you didn't know.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.